Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses on this Thursday afternoon as we kick off a new week of live racing at beautiful Belmont Park. I'm not Andy Serling. We have a little A-Train.
You're not.
We have a little A-Train reunion. Anthony's on vacation. You think Andy's on vacation, but Anthony actually on vacation. Acacia Clement alongside Anthony Stabile. And you and I were kind of talking this morning. It really is amazing looking back to 5-6 years ago when we were on Horse Racing Radio Network together up on the third floor at Aqueduct, and here we are now.
You trying to get tears today? Are you
No,
trying to pull a who used to do that? What show was that on one of the other networks? I don't remember.
Oprah?
Yes. No, it was Oprah. Jump on the couch like Tom Cruise did. No, it's pretty remarkable, and the fact that I get to do this with you and America's Day at the races and everything, it makes everything that much more special. Because we've been through this together. Like I've said a bunch of times, I was ready to walk away, and a big part of the reason, besides Mr. Tonalist, is this young lady right here. So, thank you.
Well, feeling is mutual as we get ready to dive into today's card. We'll be going through it at beautiful Belmont Park. But first, we have some housekeeping, some things to let you know about. We hope that you'll be playing along with all of the action today on Naira Bets. You can get up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up, get started, use promo code MATCH200. Go to NairaBets.com, download the app today. We want you to be ready for all of the great action. And as always, there are some good promos going on over there as well. We have the 5 days per week bonus. Bet all week, and you could get a $20 bonus. That means you opt in, you start on Monday, you get that bonus on Saturday.
So I went a little lame this week with a little stupidity of staying out in the sun a little too long last week. Next week, we're going to have this bonus again. I will put out a play every day.
Nice.
So we can get to that bonus for next Saturday. I apologize for not being able to do it this week, but we will get to that next week. We'll have a play every day. Short week next week as well. So no, long week next week actually. For 4th of July, yeah. So, yeah, look forward to that. And this is, like you said, Acacia, this is fun. Just bet at least $20 each day.
Yep.
And we helped you last night with the Canterbury and the Penn National coverage. I'll say the Canterbury coverage. And then we could wrap the week out at beautiful Belmont Park and try and make some hay and have a little double sawbuck, if you will, to open things up on Saturday.
I like it. You got to get ready for Saratoga coming up just a few weeks away. Check out all the information at NairaBets.com. The Belmont Saturday contest in play as well. It's a $300 buy-in, cash, and seat prizes. You have until 5 p.m. on Friday to register.
Well, just about 27 hours to get involved. Lucky for you, Acacia cannot enter. Unlucky for you, I cannot enter. There'd be $300 in dead money in the pool. Head over to Naira.com/contest to sign up. We have a lot of fun with the contests, and we'll keep them going through Belmont and then, of course, up at the Old Spa.
And finally, today, starting at 3 p.m., from 3 to 8:30, America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Anthony and I will kick off the coverage the first couple hours with Richie Migliori, Lafitte Pinkai in town, and Maggie Wolfendale back from Canterbury. We'll have the team all together for coverage today of Belmont Park and Churchill Downs.
Yeah, some fun races over down beneath the Twin Spires. We have a fun card here to kick off it's the last regular week of the traditional week of the season, the last Thursday through Sunday week here at Belmont Park for the spring-summer meet. Man, this thing flew by, huh?
Yeah, very quickly. It really did. And it's a really nice day, a little bit cooler, but it seems like we've kind of skirted through any inclement weather that we may see. Is Richard Migliori going by on his bicycle? He's been biking all over Belmont Park here.
He got me admonished already today.
As you get ready to dive into this card, early pick 5 kicks off with the opener, a mile and a 16th on the inner turf, New York bred maiden claiming race for 3-year-olds and upward. Let's start with the horse that you have on top, the number 5, Toga Dancer. Michelle Nevin's barn has been in a good groove. This one came off the layoff and was so far back last time.
This was basically, Acacia, for me, and you kind of looked at it the same, I would think. A coin flip between the two horses on Palm Sunday, the number 1, and the 5, Toga Dancer. Both barns going well right now. Dave Donk, who trains the 1 on Palm Sunday. Always good to see Dave in the winner's circle. Dave's assault at the Belmont Spring Summer Meet started a little earlier than usual. We see this almost every year from the barn. Towards the end of this meet into Saratoga, they win races in bunches. It's been a little bit more steady, and it started a little earlier this meet on Palm Sunday. Makes a lot of sense. I'll let you talk about him in a minute. Toga Dancer, ran in the special weight ranks last year, then dropped to the open 50. The Lasix, this is a horse who absolutely needed the race last time. The only thing I don't like is the fact that the November to April layoff is now followed by another 2-month break, 9-week break, if you will. I don't love that, as there have been plenty of opportunities for this horse to run on the grass since then. But he got his Lasix last time. He kind of ran okay last time. I'm hoping that there's a smidge of recency having run already this year. He's going to be a better price than on Palm Sunday, and that really was the deciding factor for me. For me, it's a coin flip between the two.
I agree. I think that they're the two main ones in this field. The reason I didn't put Toga Dancer on top is kind of what I had alluded to. He was so far back, and he just doesn't have any early speed. Whereas I know that On Palm Sunday sprinted on his debut, but I was in the paddock that day, and I wrote, does not look like a sprinter. So I like that he's stretching out in distance, gets some more ground to work with. The blinkers go on. You've got Irad Ortiz from the inside. I can't imagine where he's going to be far back. He's going to be forward from the inside, and that's why I preferred him to hopefully get a little bit more position early on versus the other main contender.
Advantageous in here as well. On this inner turf course, the inside draws are a big edge, especially when you have as much speed as he does. And obviously you don't know this going in, but Rush to Honor coming out kind of leaves him alone on the front end. It's going to make him a shorter price than he probably was going to be with Rush to Honor in here, because Rush to Honor would have been one of the choices and he was the other speed. I'll stick to my guns, but certainly the scratch and now the pace scenario absolutely favor On Palm Sunday.
We both have Crawford County in third. He was a late scratch on the track back on May 20th. That was a turf route as well, so Rudy Rodriguez clearly keen to get him onto the grass. As I'm back to Acacia Courtney, I see. My name has been very fluid here.
I don't know.
I did change my name, guys, but that's okay. We'll keep it that way. They're one and the same person. I think everybody knows that at this point. At least my name is a pretty different as we go on to race number 2 coming up next.
Oh, I can say Andy's not here. It's very unique.
It's very
he hates
unique.
when I say
Andy would love that.
He
He's
hates when I say
watching.
very unique.
We'll take a look. Thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it. As we go on to race number 2, it's a $20,000 claiming race, 6 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies on the main track. And let's start with the 2 coming out of the May 21st race. Rough Tough Love winning that over Dawnland. Rough Tough Love, she had a terrible race at Laurel 2 starts back, where she did have a lot of trouble too. She was a generous price last time out for Rob Atros, as she'll look to make it 2 in a row.
You saw the 2 horses come in from Laurel last time, and Maryland, I should say. And yeah, the much bigger price got the job done, 10-1 over 4-5. You'd imagine they're going to be much closer in price this afternoon. Acacia, I did not like that race.
I didn't either.
I did not like that race at all. You went somewhere else. I went somewhere else. And I went to the horse that I just thought made a lot of sense. Grease Tormenta got onto the dirt for Tom Worley in his second start off the claim with this 3-year-old daughter of Mission Impassable. He took her down in the Bayou, down at the fairgrounds this winter, and spring, I should say. She tripped out last time. There's no question about it. The truth be told, with Rough Tough Love in here, going to set the pace out of a race I really don't prefer, I have to imagine she's going to get a similar setup in here. She's going to be able to save a little ground. And you know what? I think she's going to be the biggest price of those 3. Now, you dislike this race more than I do. You put 2 different horses out of it. And listen, I wish I could have gotten as adventurous as you with a bigger price in the air, because Tactical Range figures to be in the 6-7-1 range. I just went to the more logical horse, the horse that has some recent form. And more importantly to me, first start on the surface on the dirt, on the circuit on the dirt, got the job done.
Won nicely last time out with the 60 buyer speed figure. I agree. I have her in second, Grease Tormenta. I really liked the cutback in distance and going to the dirt last time. She really stepped up in a big way. While agreeing that Rough Tough Love and Dawnland both ran well out of that race, I thought that coming into here you could get a bit creative. And Tactical Range, I just kept going back to this horse because last time out at Monmouth it was a wet track. You could even see it in the short comment. She broke through the gate prior to the race. She just was never really involved. The winner came back to win with the 76 buyer speed figure, albeit on the turf. But as you kind of look back, she was facing some decent horses down at Tampa prior to that and some tougher company. One for 20,000. It just kind of felt like this was maybe the right spot, the right level for her. And she's a fresh face when maybe I had some questions about the others that we've seen around here.
Yeah, I don't blame you. The other thing that I liked about Grease Tormenta was the fact that she ran in that 2 life last time. That was against 3-year-olds and up. This is a straight 3-year-old claiming race. So it's not really a big raise in class. It's almost a lateral move. And to what you said about that, my problem with Tactical Range was, who is definitely live in here at a price. I think she might need a little bit more ground. Her best races came at 7 and going to 2 turns. So I wonder if a little bit more ground helps her, especially in a race where it doesn't really look like a lot of speed is signed on for her.
Yeah, we'll see how race 2 does pan out as we go on to race number 3 coming up next. 7 furlongs on the main track. A maiden claiming for $40,000 for fillies and mares. And we'll take a look at the race from May 13th. Tequila and Affalata both coming out of this race. Finishing best was Affalata, but the race really fell apart in here, Anthony. We'll take a look at how far back she was as a result. She's not going to be able to do that in this spot. I thought, given the pace scenario, Tequila ran the better race in there.
I agree. Were you surprised, as I was, that this filly was actually claimed last time out at Affalata? I was stunned that they took anybody.
I was, yeah.
Yeah. She made up a lot of ground. She made up an awful lot of ground in a pretty short amount of time. Because she's still far back here, turning
Very
for home.
far, yeah.
Yeah, really far back. And she comes running along. Now, look, this pace kind of fell apart a little bit. They went 46 and change. They came home in 20 and change. I mean, to say it fell apart a little bit is to say it fell apart a lot. I didn't know what to do with her off of the barn change. She hasn't raced now in 6 weeks. You know, she faced some pretty hungry fields this winter. You see she ran against Rough Tough Love down at Parks. You know, they even shipped her out of town and she couldn't get the job done there. I mean, I guess I really didn't really you stayed away from Affalata a little bit as well as here. Yeah, I think she'll take some money, but I think she finds this. This is probably the toughest maiden claiming field she's faced in a bit. You have a couple of natural droppers in here. The number 3 Cupid's Girl, the filly I landed on the sign, the 7, Oh Mrs. Maisel. What I mean by natural droppers are they have never run for the tag. You'll see some horses have run for the tag and back into the special weight after a good performance. Neither of these fillies have ever run for the tag. Oh Mrs. Maisel to me is the quintessential drop down. She had some dirt races last year where she ran into fillies like Tap the Faith and Gerrymander and Amore. She came back this year. Cool Luke was 1-5 when she broke her maiden. And they probably realized that she wasn't a special weight filly. You do the prudent thing, and you try her on the turf in the special weight race. If you're going to try her on the turf, you try her on the turf in the special weight race. At the very least, if you're going to drop her in for the tag back on the dirt and she gets claimed, you hope you get out of the maiden ranks and at least grab that pot. Why lose her for 40 on the turf when the connection is just going to run her back on the dirt? To me, you've exhausted all options. You realize she's not a special weight filly. You drop her in. A lot of times you don't necessarily have confidence betting on these horses dropping down. I think this is just a drop to win and not lose her. They're going to lose her. I don't think it's a drop to lose her, though. I think it's a drop to just get the money. If somebody wants to give them $40,000 for her, they'd be more than happy to send her to another barn.
I think that it's a perfect example of a filly that just kind of, there comes a time, right? And she doesn't look like a turf horse. She's one that I think maybe mentally took a long time to figure things out as well. And she really hasn't ever really shown much. You know, she kind of runs the same race every single time. And so maybe the drop in class will help. I struggled with this race a little bit because Tequila was the one that I ended up picking on top because that was off of a layoff that last race. I thought she ran the better race, but I certainly don't love her. I don't trust her in here. The barn's still looking for the first win of the meet. I did like that John Velasquez stayed. I thought, Mrs. Maisel was really the one to beat, but as said, we haven't really seen her take a step forward. So this is a race where it's kind of, who is it that jumps up? You included Regina, who's kind of the fresh face from Laurel, but same thing, you know, she ran okay in that last start, but it is a drop as well.
That was the only reason. She's a fresh face.
Yeah.
Tequila's supposed to be the speed in here. I wonder if Jose Lezcano and Regina leave out of there a little strongly, maybe to not necessarily get in front, but maybe sit off Tequila if Tequila doesn't go. She didn't go last time. If Tequila doesn't go, I mean, there are some fillies in there. Fleur Lee, the one, doesn't really have any speed. Affalata has gait issues. School of Thought doesn't have any speed. The filly I like, Mrs. Maisel, really doesn't have any kind of speed. I guess she won't be too far off of it, though, on the drop in class. I guess the horse that's a little bit of the wild card in here, you have her third, I have her fourth, is Cupid's Girl. But she's another one. She almost falls into the same category as Mrs. Maisel.
Yep.
She's run a couple of decent races, but there hasn't been any improvement.
No.
And it's hard, but she's another one. She's a drop I would trust. I just think Mrs. Maisel might be a little bit more talented than she is.
That's certainly fair. As we'll turn the page, go on to race number 4. We're on the turf here. What do we break after 5?
Yes.
Break after 5.
Pick 6 starts here.
Pick 6 starts here in the 4th race. It's a $35,000 claiming race, non-winners of 3 in life. And we'll take a look at, neither of us picked him, but I think that he's where the conversation starts. Chess's Dream.
Absolutely.
What do you get from him today? We'll take a look a long way back. This is when he won the Grade 3 Kitten's Joy in January of 2021 down at Gulfstream Park. He's been pretty much in stakes company or good allowance company since then. He drops in for the 35 non-3 here, and he's the half-brother to one of your favorite horses, Casa Creed.
He's Casa. It's funny you bring that up.
Who also won the Kitten's Joy. They won the same stake. Yeah,
I was staring at the dam. Yeah, Casa's one of my boys. You could say that again. The late, great Alan Jerkins, who was widely considered one of the greatest of all time. I think he's the greatest horse trainer of all time. Never wanted to run turf horses on the dirt and vice versa. Never wanted to try it. So this horse broke his maiden. He was 2 lengths off the lead the day he broke his maiden. They ran him on a sloppy track 23 days later. And his speed never returned.
He actually finished second in that first turf race.
Second, rather. Yeah. I'm sorry. His speed never returned, which I think is a testament to the Chiefs' theory.
Yeah.
And I mean, he went a pretty good clip as a 2-year-old on the turf.
Yeah.
Lost all of his speed. So from there, even on the drop, I'm always going to be a little bit more cautious of picking a horse like this. Plus, I would imagine his destiny is to be 8-5 or so today. I know David doesn't have him favored. He has Land Biscuit favored, and I get it. It's a rat. It's first-time Rob Actress. But I would imagine this horse, stakes-faced, is going to be the favorite. And I would imagine he's going to be way too short a price to really trust in here.
And in that graded stake, this was before he got really good, but he beat Never Surprise that day.
Yeah.
And those Florida Sire stakes, as he is a Florida bred, for 2-year-olds to run for $400,000, you understand wanting to take a shot. There are no turf races for 2-year-olds for the Florida Sire Stakes series, but he kind of went on a good run there, and then he just really leveled off the end of 2021. And I saw him back in February. Didn't think that he took a step forward physically as a 4-year-old. So he's kind of the horse that will take money because of who he's faced, but I think he's so tough to trust even on the drop.
Agreed. I agree. And the funny thing is, he doesn't really have, the bottom half, the Chess's Dream's not really a turf influence yet.
He actually is. I love his progeny on the turf.
Okay.
Yeah, saw a lot down in Florida.
All right. So, you went to the favorite on the morning line, who I think will be the second choice. I got a little goofy in here. I thought Grecian Pharaoh ran a sneaky good race. First off the November layoff, first time for Rudy. He never was able to really save any ground this day. He was kind of chasing from out there. Now this is the Widener, so it's a little different. You still like to be inside in the turf routes, but a little bit different than on the inner. Land Biscuit can go, but he's not really a speed type. The other Rudy in here, Not Yet Charlie, was the one who went to the lead last time when Grecian Pharaoh was chasing. I wonder if those roles reverse now with the post position difference with Grecian Pharaoh laid up on the rail. I love the rider change to Jose Ortiz. Double digits on the board. I don't think this horse will be that big of a price. I think this horse will be closer to 8-1. But I want to take a little shot with him today. So I'm gonna try Grecian Pharaoh on or close to the lead with the rider change.
I did land on Land Biscuit a little reluctantly in this spot. I knew I didn't want Chess's Dream. Thought Land Biscuit ran okay last time. Be Here came back to win again with an 88 buyer speed figure. This was a horse that was always kind of, I preferred on the turf, kind of knocking on the door, not really breaking through. We'll see what he does first off the claim for Rob. Obviously, he's coming from Bill Mott and was well conditioned, well handled prior to that. But I didn't trust Bricko off the layoff, who seemed to those horses seem to kind of take a little bit of time to race into fitness. Didn't trust Girl Dad off the layoff, who also lost his speed. Yeah, also lost his speed recently too. So I went with a little bit of the recency of the new claim.
I also think it's worth noting, Acacia, that both of those horses, Girl Dad and Bricko, you just mentioned, exit the same race. Bricko entered for the waiver. You can't claim Girl Dad today. Bricko you can claim for the $35,000. I thought that was a little interesting.
Race number 5 is also on the turf. This is the Inner Turf, a mile and an eighth, New York bred, 2 other than allowance for fillies and mares, and always like these kinds of races. I got a little bit wonky in this race too, and I see you went away from the favorites as well. Let's start though with the replay. We have Marvelous Maud and Instinctive. This is 2 back for Instinctive. Marvelous Maud was coming off of the layoff back on May 22nd. You'd imagine with the short price that she was that day for Chad Brown, she'll be the favorite again today.
I am one of the first people to say when a horse runs first time, when a horse runs off a layoff, I'm willing to forgive the effort. I'm not willing to forgive this effort.
No, I agree.
Chad's horses have come back firing on all cylinders here on the circuit. She didn't run poorly, but with the trip she had, the way that race unfolded, she's supposed to beat those horses, and she didn't. She ran a bad, I mean, I've never seen a horse get beat a length and a quarter and run a bad third. She didn't run well.
She was a very short price that day too.
Yeah, and she's going to be a short price again. She's 6-5 on the morning line. I don't know where they're going to go here. I think the money's going to spread out a little bit underneath, which will probably make her a little bit more of a favorite than she should be. And again, another one, she took the step from 3 to 4, and I know it's only one race, but she didn't really improve last time. If she would have improved a little bit, she'd have buried those horses, and she didn't. Can she win? She's in the pick 4, both pick 5s, the pick 6, and you'd be a fool not to use her. But to take her at 4 to 5 in the win pool, especially if you have some, using her in the multi-race sequence, if you have some funky thoughts later on, she's a must-use. Taking her at that price in the win pool, I think, is just is foolish. Yeah. So Kara's Dreamer, I did not like the trip and ride Kara's Dreamer got last time. For a guy who has been aggressive for the better part of the last year in Dylan Davis, I thought he gave her a little bit of a complacent ride last time. I would be more.
She didn't look comfortable either.
She didn't. Maybe it was the course. Maybe it was the giving the ground. Maybe I'm blaming Dylan too much, but kind of looked like she was taken off of that pace. Whereas I would have been doing the exact. They went to half and 50 that day. I would have been doing the exact opposite. In my extensive riding career, I would have been in front. She faces the dilemma now with Out of Sight drawn the inside and in good form on a 2-race win streak. Sweet Franny Lou has more speed, but that doesn't mean you can't be forward. I think she needs to be forward. I think she could work out a trip. Again, not the inner, it's the widener, and now with the 2 scratches, she's drawn all the way into post 6, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. I thought it a little bit of a price, and again, I think the tote board is going to reflect that morning line, right? 6-5 for Marvelous Maud, and then 6 of the fillies between 5 to 1 and 8 to 1. I don't know where the public's going to land for second. I would imagine she's in the 6 to 1 range. I want to take a little bit of a shot against the favorite.
She's consistent. She's not a winning type, Kara's Dreamer.
No.
She's 2 for 20 with 6 seconds and 4 thirds, but I respect her.
10 triple performances, second, filling out the tries. Yeah.
I respect her just as far as how she always shows up, whether it's in New York Bred Stakes Company and those allowance races. I actually wrote down after her last race that I didn't think that she liked the soft turf last time. So it looked like she just was really uncomfortable. She was never settled in that race. I agree it was a little complacent. I thought she was a major player in here. I went with Pop the Bubbly, who we often talk about Michelle Nevin, and Michelle Nevin was serving a suspension, thus a lot of the horses running under Horacio de Paz's name for a time there in May. So that's why you see that last race with that barn. But this horse won off of the layoff coming back in the first start of the season in April. And we often talk about, and the numbers show that Michelle Nevin's numbers are so much stronger second off the bench. I found, and we saw this with another horse, Bless, who also won right off the layoff, that if they do that for this barn, they tend to regress in the subsequent start. And that's what I kind of felt happened with Pop the Bubbly. She was just totally out-footed, and she actually got really headstrong on Kendrick last time. She didn't look comfortable. She wasn't settled early on. And then she just kind of was struggling to keep up with the field.
They also ran on the Mount Vernon.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yes, it was a tougher, much tougher field. I get that. But off of the effort that she had 2 back, she certainly, you could understand taking a shot with her.
Sure.
So it's tougher. But I would expect that we're going to see her be a little bit more comfortable today, hopefully kind of getting back into a groove. And maybe it is that she just regressed after winning off the layoff. That's my theory.
I like that theory. especially at that price.
That is the first 5 races. We'll take a quick time out on Talking Horses and be back for the late pick 4 after this.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses with Acacia and Anthony. We get ready to kick off today's late pick 4 with this little A-Train reunion. Starting here in this 6th race, going 6 furlongs on the main track, $20,000 claiming race. Rejected again for you.
This was the one that gave me fits today.
This is a tough race.
I thought Gemography and Mad Monies were tough to make in here. Have at it with the other 5. I mean, really have at it with the other 4. I put Rejected again on top. First off the Rudy claim. I'm always going to gravitate to first off the claim for Rudy. Ran behind Al Cools, who came back to win. Cuts back to half furlong. This is another horse. He's had a lot of speed in his career, and I would imagine he's the speed in here. He's shown speed, and then for a while he didn't have his speed. When Rudy claims these horses back, when Rudy claims these horses that once had speed, they ordinarily show their speed again. Mm-hmm. I like Luis Saez climbing aboard. I think there are a lot of things to like. And in a race where there's a lot of stalking types, I would imagine the instructions to Louis are going to be to go. And I'm hoping that Rejected again, who I thought ran pretty well last time, found the right bunch, and more importantly, the right pace dynamic, and just get in front of these horses.
I think you bring up a really good point about the pace, because my problem with Rejected again is that it's just been such a long time since he's seen the winner's circle, and he's been in some strong barns. Linda Rice had him and ran at a variety of levels, and we just haven't been able to see him get to the winner's circle. But the pace could really be the key. I liked that Mr. Pete didn't have to be too far off of it. Last time out, he was second from the outside, and the outside runner kind of came over on him at the start. But Money in the Bank ran okay in his subsequent race, but Mexican Wonder Boy came back to win with a 94 buyer in his next race, and Montauk Daddy won as well. So
2 in a row, right?
Yeah, 2 in a row, in fact, who survived that inquiry.
Right call, by the way.
Yes, I agree. Survived the inquiry the other day. So I'm hoping that he can get a better trip. And once again, you talk about barns that are in a good groove. Mertkin Cantarasi's horses have been well meant. The horse that's kind of the question here, though, is Brilliant Brooks to the outside, who won the starter last time out, 4th in the Peeping Tom prior to that. We'll take a look at his last race. He drops in for 20,000 today.
Yeah, that was, to me, it was a little interesting that he claimed for the 20, protected. You know, he kind of won himself out, though, last time when he protected Acacia. So if he wins today and they take him, it's another 47,000. It's a lot of money to make with a $20,000 claimer in 4.5 months. So I kind of understand the thinking to, all right, you were protected the first couple of times. You earned out last time. If we lose him today, we lose him today. He makes sense. He can be close to what appears to be a fairly moderate pace. I just didn't want him as the favorite. I think he's going to be the definitive favorite in here.
I think so too.
I think he's going to be 8 to 5-ish in here. If I thought he was going to be 5 to 2, I would have thought long and hard about putting him on top. But I think he's going to be close to 8 to 5 in here, maybe even a little shorter than that.
Race number 7, 7 furlongs on the main track. Fillies and Mares at 3-year-olds and upward. This is a nice allowance race here, and we both go to a horse that will be a very short price. So take a look at Goodnight Olive's last win back in November. This is basically just a window dressing, Anthony, because she was forwardly placed throughout, but when they got to the top of the stretch, she just kicked on and ran away from everyone.
Chad Brown can keep her on the racetrack, and that's a big if. She can have a big future. I think she's a really nice filly, and you'll be curious to see. You know, I love the fact that she's in the 2 other than against the optional claimers. Because if she were to be running in a straight 2 other end, not that she has a plethora of competition today, but New Money Honey's won 1/3 of her starts, an 8-time winner. Betsy Blue has won almost half of her starts, 6 for 13. Halo City's hit the board 16 of her 26 starts with 4 wins. Customer Experience is 7 for 23 in her career with 7 other board placings. She's facing I'm stealing your word again. She's facing a salty bunch of fillies and mares today.
It's a good description.
It is. I mean, it's a perfect description of this field. Whereas, yeah, if they all run their A race and Goodnight Olive runs to her potential, she's probably going to win by a long way. But she's at the very least going to be tried against some battle-tested fillies and mares today. And that's what you want to see. If you feel like you're that much that you lay over the field, you need some sort of competition. The competition in here is the experience, running against horses that have won more races than she's run in her life.
You've got Honey Money, who is an 8-time winner, as you mentioned. I think the big thing for her last time was getting onto a fast main track. And I interviewed Irad Ortiz after that race, too. And he even said that. He was like, I really think that she appreciated being on a fast track. She's won on a wet track before, but I just really think that she doesn't prefer it. She doesn't look like a wet track horse. She doesn't run the same. She ran a big race last time out over Join the Dots, who had been highly touted, in Malibu Curl as well. I thought that because it's a fast track today, that kind of elevates Honey Money a bit, not to mention, as you said, all the wins that she boasts too.
Yeah, I thought this was a cold 6-1.
Yep.
And if anybody can beat her today, I would imagine it's Honey Money, who, again, I would imagine is going to have the run of the race from the rail. Right? Trevor's probably going to put her on the lead today. Betsy Blue doesn't really have any speed. Halo City has no speed. Amelia's Moon has no speed. Customer Experience, if there's no pace in the race, Customer Experience has been known to be a little forward, but I wouldn't call her a speed type. Goodnight Olive is probably the fastest of them all, but I would imagine if Honey Money's going to go out from the rail under Trevor, a little under the gun, Goodnight Olive and Irad would be more than happy to have a little bit of a target in front of them.
We'll see what that filly by Ghost Sapper can do, making the first start of her four-year-old season. Featured race is race number 8, 6 furlongs on the turf in this really nice 3-lane allowance, as this is 3-year-olds and upward. And there are a couple different ways to go. You go to a horse that I've become a big fan of, Yes and Yes, who's coming off of back-to-back wins. He didn't have it the easiest way last time out, though. So we'll take a look at that start on June 9th, as it looked like he was about to cruise up the inside. And Irad Ortiz made it a little tight on John Velasquez there.
On his idol. That shows you that there's no favoritism played on this racetrack. He looked up to this guy and he shut the door on him without thinking twice here. Johnny was just so cool, calm, and collected. Just gets this horse outside of Artemis City limits and is able to get the job done between horses. Yeah, really not in a good spot from the quarter pole home, right? Inside had to alter course around, and then Soulmate came with the big run and kind of put him in between horses, yet he still answered the bell. 2 wins in a row. Again, back to the Dave Donk barn. And I love the fact that he's getting while the getting's good with this horse. This horse is in good form right now. He's running him back in 2 weeks since his last win, right? 3 times since the beginning of May. I love it. There's probably not a bigger scratch on the card for a horse than Shecky Shabazz for Yes and Yes.
Speed out.
The speed's gone. And the truth of the matter is, he's facing a handful of horses, the 3 inside horses in here, all want some more ground, or at least have shown they want more ground. What makes Sammy run the number 4 has less speed than you and I in a horse suit, as Andy would say, right? Pulsate has speed, but it's never used. It has never been used once in his career. And Mr. Hustle is the opposite of that the first half mile of the race.
Yep.
So Johnny's supposed to just put this horse on the front. Again, I'm going to tell a guy who's won 6,000 races how to ride a horse, but with Shecky Shabazz out, Yes and Yes, who's won gate to wire before, I mean, he looks like he has this field at his mercy on the front end now, and they're playing his game going the 6.
He can go the 6, he can go the 7. He handled the distance last time when things did not go his way with, and I also don't think that he's the type of horse that moves up on a softer turf course either. I mean, he's a bigger bodied, solid son of Sydney's Candy. Pulsate comes off of the layoff, and I went back and forth between him and Yes for a really long time.
Okay.
For me, these were kind of the big two. I don't love that he has the layoff to contend with. Last year when he came off of the layoff, he started his season in July, and he was beaten just ahead behind Faya. I think that typically he takes a race or two to kind of get going. He does have the class as far as the horses that he was facing before that break. It's his first start of the season. You brought up a good point, though, because my hope was that he's not going to be too far back, especially with Shecky Shabazz out. And to the inside, Principled Stand, who has speed, is cutting back in distance.
Right.
It's just not as fast. I hope Manny Franco has him forward and doesn't let Yes and Yes get too far off.
I can't imagine he's going to. Because I can't imagine Yes and Yes is going to be going that fast on the front end.
No.
He's not that.
He's not that
got
quick.
speed, but he's
Yeah.
not that quick. Right. And I think you bring up a great point with Principled Stand. He's a little bit of a wild card in here because he's never been less than a mile. And now not only.
And he's never raced this frequently either.
Correct.
Yeah.
And not only is he going, because he's cutting back, he's cutting all the way back to 6, which is a very, very curious move for Chad. I don't have the numbers, but I can't imagine this happens a lot for the Chad Brown Barn. From the mile to the 6, the mile here at Belmont on the Widener especially, the mile and the 7/8, I don't want to say they're interchangeable because it's an eighth of a mile, but it's kind of a same kind of a race, you know? The mile to the 6 is a completely different beast. And a horse that's setting moderate paces going the route of ground, you would imagine horses like Yes and Yes, and again, Pulsate has speed. They just never seem to use it. With Shecky Shabazz coming out, I wonder if it makes Pulsate's job a little easier because the race is supposed to line up 6, 7, 8. Now the race lines up 7, 8. So in theory, it makes his job a little easier, but does it make Yes's job that much more easier being able to set a more moderate pace?
I wonder if the gate opens and Pulsate finds himself on front. He's like, what do I do now?
Yeah,
what do I do now?
Starts spinning his head around like an owl, not knowing what to do. You know, if that happens,
Anthony's not a fan of owls.
I'm shying away if I see a 270-degree turn from Pulsate today.
Race number 9, last race on the card, New York bred maiden claiming race for $25,000, 6 furlongs. A key scratch in here of Verone Marchese, who was a horse that was going to take a lot of attention first off the claim for Orlando Nota. But we have Devil or Angel. Speaking of Dave Donk, he's got, I think, a very strong chance to win the late double. Didn't do much running on the dirt 2 starts back, but this is a horse that is taking that significant drop in class, and while the dam was more turf meant, he's by Shackelford, and on the bottom you can kind of go either way.
He was also 5-1 in his dirt debut against G Munning, who came out running as the co-favorite with Bold Journey, who came back to look good in his maiden win. Safalo's Mission came back to break his maiden in the spring. Key race, I don't know if I want to call it a key race. He gets Lasix, he drops, cuts back a little bit in distance, goes back to the dirt. Barn's going well. He was a little bit of an alternative to some of the others in here who, quite frankly, I've seen enough of.
We both had a little interest in the number 2 Shadow Box. Real quick on this first-time starter, the horses that Bill Morey has sent here to run in New York have been well meant. He's 3 for 6 with a third. I don't love that the last 3 workouts were from the gate, but we'll see what this one can do. He may just meet the right field.
Ordinarily, I am with you 1,000% on the 3 consecutive gate works. But I'll tell you what, if those gate works worked and did the trick, he's going to be in a good position against a lot of horses in here. You know, he's got a couple of horses in here who go to the lead, but really, Raw Courage has speed. He's putting the blinkers back on. Limit Up has speed. How fast are they really?
Yeah.
And at the very least, if those gate works have put a little speed into him, maybe he's not in front, but maybe he's in contention. You know, that's the one thing we don't really know with Devil or Angel. He really isn't that fast early. So, yes, maybe he gets the pace to incinerate up front, and maybe Shadow Box is part of that. But he's going to need a little help up front. I mean, listen, they're in for Maiden 25 State Bread. They're all going to need a little help, a little help in here in some way. But he's kind of at their mercy because if a horse can get loose on him in here, he really hasn't shown that much of a want to pass horses. In fact, since the blinkers have gone on in his career, he's kind of taken a step backwards on either surface. We'll see if the drop in the Lasix helps him today.
We shall see. We'll find out what happens in the nightcap and all of the 9 races today, as that will do it as far as the race analysis does go. 9-race card as we get ready for this Thursday afternoon, kicking off a new week of live racing. I want to remind everybody to bet with NYRA Bets. Make sure you head on over, NYRABets.com, download the app, use promo code MATCH200 for up to a $200 deposit match bonus. We want you to take part in all of the action. And as Anthony mentioned, coming back next week will be the 5-day-a-week bonus. Don't miss out on that, June 20th to 24th this week. We'll have it next week as well. Learn more at NYRABets.com. Opt in on Monday. Bet every week, at least $20. You get a $20 bonus on Saturday. Easy as that. And the Belmont Saturday contest, you have until tomorrow, Friday, 5 p.m. to register. Go to NYRA.com/contest. $300 buy-in, cash and seat prizes. And finally, America's Day at the Races, Fox Sports 2 from 3 to 8:30. The A-Train will kick off the action. We've been seeing a lot of each other the last couple days.
We have.
Canterbury
Lucky
yesterday.
me. Canterbury. Yes, Canterbury. Fleur de Nord? No. Etoile de Nord?
Oh, the state flag of
Yes.
Minnesota. Yes, you
Star
looked
of
it
the
up. I'll
North,
have
right?
to
Yeah,
double check
that's the
it
motto.
again. Yeah. It was a fun day
Mitch
for
was
sure.
obsessed with the Mitch Levitis, our fearless leader, was obsessed with the flag, as he always is. So we went to see what the state motto was.
If you ever see some flag shots on our show, you know where they came from.
When he's not yelling at us.
Yes. Well, that'll do it here on Talking Horses. I'll be back tomorrow and Saturday.
Can't wait.
Got a lot of A-Train on the on Talking Horses set
As it
this
should
week.
be. Very
yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us. Good luck today. Don't forget to join us starting at 3 p.m. We'll send it up now to track announcer John Imbrial, voice of New York Racing, for reprise of Scratches and Changes.